Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Diego Castro. President Bongbong Marcos has signed into law the record 5.768 trillion peso national budget for next year. The signing of the General Appropriations Act came a week after Congress approved and ratified the bill. In a speech after the signing, Marcos reminded government officials to spend the money judiciously and efficiently, meaning avoid red tape.
The most important budget commandment that we must always heed. We are working for the people, not for ourselves. We are working for the country, not for ourselves.
Next year's budget is 9.5% higher than this year's 5.3 trillion peso budget. Safe to say it's only going to get bigger from here on. For 2025, the government said it would propose a budget north of 6 trillion pesos. Leading the agencies with the biggest budget allocation is DepEd, which asked for 758 billion pesos. Other agencies topping the list are the Departments of National Defense, Agriculture, and Public Works and Highways. After the appointment of Rafael Consing Jr. as head of the Maharlika Investment Corporation, 4 new directors of the MIC were sworn on Wednesday. They are Vicky Castillo Tan, Andrew Jerome Gan, German Lichauco, and Roman Felipe Reyes. Tan is a long-time Asian Development Bank officer and has also worked for different banks, investment, and financial institutions. Gan has experience in domestic and international companies and is currently serving as a member of the Board of Directors, the Audit Committee, and the Compensation Committee of Capital Markets Integrity Corporation. Lichauco is senior partner at the Sigyon Reina, Montesillo, and Ongsiaco law offices, and also served as president of Gemarvic Holdings Incorporated. Reyes is a current director of the Radio Philippines Network, Pampanga Sugar Development, the All-Asian Countertrade, Philippine Geothermal Production, and Converge ICT Solutions. Reyes is also the chairman and founding partner of Reyes, Takandong & Co. Various surveys show that rising prices of goods and services remain the top concern of Filipinos. Shaila Francisco with a report.
In 2023, consumers had been struggling to deal with rising prices of petroleum and basic goods left and right. That's why in the Pahayag year-end survey released by Publicus Asia, the economy and inflation, or the rate of price increases, are the primary concerns of Filipinos this year. The survey showed that 15% of Filipinos for each of the 2 categories believe that President Marcos should focus his attention on solving these issues. Official figures though show that inflation has been slowing since September. But the Bangko Sentral itself admitted that this trend could end come 2024. The BSP explains that this will be the result of higher fares and the increase in minimum wages. These factors could even be exacerbated by the threat of a stronger El Nino that is seen to last until the second quarter of 2024. The BSP estimates that the strong episode of El Nino would translate to an additional 0.02 percentage points in the monthly inflation rate. This could affect the supply of goods and power rates, especially in the first quarter of 2024.
If there are further supply shocks, then it makes it all harder. In our analysis, first quarter might be bad, The first quarter of 2024 might be bad. Q2, maybe. Q2 El Nino is 50-50, in our judgment.
But for the Federation of Free Farmers, El Nino will have minimal effect on agriculture by the first quarter of next year. The fear, however, is that farmlands will start to be impacted if the strong effects of El Nino last until June. With rice, the El Nino could affect harvest by October or November of next year. This could also bring up prices of the staple. With corn, the group warns that production could decrease by August or September.
Either hindi makapagtanim yung mga farmers or madidelay yung planting nila, and that will affect the harvest and the supply later during the year.
If prices of corn, which is used to feed poultry animals, increase, it could translate to higher prices of chicken and pork meat. The FFF says water pumps and rain harvesting systems could help in strong water for farmlands. But
Sa lawak ng effect ng El Nino, that will not suffice. No, and at saka mga water impounding na ganyan, pag hindi maganda yung pagkagawa, mag-evaporate din yung water. So hindi rin magtatagal.
Defense Secretary Gubot Teodoro says the El Nino Task Force has already laid out plans and projects to mitigate the impact of the dry spell. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. On top of the transport strike, jeepney operators are now urging the Supreme Court to block the December 31 deadline for franchise consolidation. In their 56-page petition, transport groups led by PISTON asked the High Court to declare as null and void the issuances released by the Transportation Department and the LTFRB. The group cited grave abuse of discretion on the part of these agencies. They also want a temporary restraining order against the year-end consolidation deadline while the Supreme Court hears their petition. Their legal counsel, Attorney Nery Colmenares, said the consolidation mandate is a violation to drivers and operators' freedom of association.
Yung Cooperative Code of the Philippines, ang cooperative voluntary. Bakit ito biglang mandatory, di ba?
Hindi dapat tayo pinupersa na pumasok sa isang andana na halos hindi kaya ng ating sektor, ng ating hanay, sa hanay ng mga driver at mga operator.
The LTO has started its crackdown against colorum PUVs and even unruly taxi drivers during the holiday rush. LTO Chief Vigor Mendoza said they have received a considerable number of complaints against unregistered PUVs and taxi drivers who refuse passengers. This has prompted the agency to immediately order the implementation of Oplan Pasaway. Those caught could face a 5,000 to 15,000 peso fine as well as a possible suspension or revocation of one's driver's license. The LTO has encouraged the public to report incidents to the authorities if they have fallen victim to unruly taxi drivers or even colorum vehicles.
Kahit na, nilagyan nyo na dyan for garage na, taon-taon na lang yan. Kung di natin higpitan, di matututo eh. 90 days, subukan mo. Kung di magutong pamilya mo, ayaw natin yun eh.
Let's now take a quick look at other stories we're watching. SMNI is set to file a motion for consideration after the MTRCB imposed a 14-day preventive suspension order on 2 of its programs. One of these programs features former President Rodrigo Duterte. Infectious disease expert Dr. Rontjean Solante says the JN.1 COVID-19 subvariant may enter the country in, quote, due time. The COVID-19 subvariant is now circulating in the US and other countries. And the UP Diliman campus lights up with colorful lanterns during the university's annual Lantern Parade. This year's theme was Panibagong Lakas, highlighting resilience and various societal issues. And that's it for this hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.